champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got played 300 Champions League. The fields of Anfield gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
That is correct, ladies and gents. This is the Match Debate, part of the Red Sea podcast. I'm your host, Nick. On the right of your screen, to the left, or to my left rather, on your screen is Peter the Coach Kofinas, and down below is Jimmy James Nicholson. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me this evening. What an absolute treat it has been to watch the Reds this morning. Parts of the game were a little bit patchy, parts of the game were a little bit sketchy. But at the end of the day, we won 2-0, we're on 15 points, and we're away at the San Siro next to face AC Milan. And if we win there, we have a clean sweep of 6 wins in a row in the Champions League. And they dubbed it the Group of Death, mind you. So straight off the bat, Peter the Coach Kofinas, tell me, the Group of Death, initially when we were dealt this group, there was a lot of talk of like it's going to be difficult because former champions Porto, former champions Atletico Madrid, and former champions AC Milan against us. Initial thoughts then compared to where we're sitting at right now?
Well, at the moment, it's the group of death for everybody else.
That's what I was getting at. No one wants to play us because they all die. They die.
We murdered all of them. But prior, though, it was actually really exciting. Similar to what Klopp said. He goes, what did he say? A true Champions League group. You know, so that's something that this is my first initial thoughts as well, because I couldn't believe we had never played, AC Milan in a group stage before these. I found that completely interesting. Atletico Madrid, I really licked my lips at the thought of that one because of the whole last time we played them. We started the global pandemic. And, Porto is always good for 6 points.
6 points and plenty of goals, mind you. So where we're at night, a shout out quickly to Jericho, and we've got Ray PMB9. Thank you for joining us.
Does Jericho want to join us? How's that for a question?
Yeah, Jericho, if you want to join us, let us know. We'll drop the.
Let us know, Jericho.
We'll drop you the link, and we'll have you on. We'll make it happen somehow, maybe through Twitter or whatever. We'll make it happen. So it's a private thing, but let us know. There's 3 of us this evening. But going back to the whole thing where we've started to where we are now, James, what were your thoughts? I mean, look, we've qualified already. We've already had squad rotation throughout the game this morning for us, and players came off early, 70 plus minutes, which was nice to see because Southampton is only a few days away. But how are you feeling right now with this Reds team and the state they're in the Champions League with the teams that we were pitted against, mind you?
Yeah, I think looking back at the start when the group was first drawn, I could see us obviously getting through. Obviously, how getting through was always going to be the real question, to be honest. Are we going to get through in the style that we have? I would definitely have taken that at the very start. I didn't think it was going to be realistic, given how we had performed last season, some of the injuries that we had gone through, some of the players coming back, everything as well. And obviously, the teams that we're playing are quality teams. There's no denying that. Real powerhouse competition to face on a European night at Anfield and away. Some fantastic away trips have been had, and obviously one still to go. So to be able to play a game like we did today, still 5 for 5, 15 points so far in the group stage, and to be able to bring in players like Nico Williams, Minamino's first start as well for us in the Champions League this season, and of course a massive shout out, and I'm sure we'll go into this later on, but Tyler Morton in central midfield as well. To be able to bring these players in, to have an opportunity to really mix in with the squad and get more minutes under their belt and walk away with a pretty decent 2-0 win. Really good place to be right now.
I think it goes to say you mentioned that the squad rotation as it is, because we do have these players available. Players are coming back from injury. We mentioned this on the match debate after the who the hell did we play? Arsenal? Was it Arsenal that we played? Yeah, after Arsenal. Yeah. Players are coming back from injury, so they're going to want to put a stake claim in there to start. And Tsimikas started once again. We'll get on him shortly. But Kanate got himself a start. Matip back again. And as you said, Nico Williams at right back in place for Trent, who I think deserves a bit of a rest. And Milner came on and fashion, got himself a yellow card. Fantastic. Nice to see there. He misses the AC Milan trip in 2 weeks' time. But seeing Minamino up front instead of Jota, that was interesting. And the midfield was the most surprising with Thiago, Morton, and Oxlade-Chamberlain in the mix, but Henderson came on later on, as did Fabinho. So it's one of those things where you say it's a dead rubber game anyways. Like, you've already qualified. If you lost this game, would it have really mattered? Granted, there is probably a Champions League undefeated streak at home at the moment. Obviously, we lost to Atletico Madrid a couple of seasons ago, but you don't want to lose at home. If this was an away trip, you say, all right, we lost whatever, but we've qualified. So that home aspect still plays a part, but the squad itself, it's nice to see it actually being utilised how we would probably like to see them utilised more often, seeing players come in with decent time, not to waste time. Does that make sense? Pete,
Yeah,
I'll ask you.
Yeah, of course. I think I thought that Origi would start and Mane or Salah, only one of them would start, and then they'd do like the swap around the 60th minute kind of thing. To see both of them start was a bit of a shock. The rest I kind of expected to some way. I thought Konate was definitely going to start. I knew, obviously Tsimikas would get that start because now it's the plan to rest him against Southampton. I thought Ox would get his start. I didn't know Tyler Morton, of course. I think Oneka Williams was a great one to see because he's been impressive, when he played for Wales, and I think the last game he played for us in that cup game, he was quite impressive as well. I think it's good to see these players play. And Minamino, I think it's an interesting one, right? Because he copped a lot of Twitter abuse, which is hilarious because it's obviously a thing in Twitter to abuse anybody that you don't understand how they play. But if you look at the stats of Minamino's games, he won more tackles than any other player on the field for us this morning. He also covered the most distance, more than any other player on the field for us this morning. So, and if you look at his heat map, for example, its majority is in deeper moments. So I think what Klopp did with Minamino there was actually prepare him for the Firmino role, potentially during the African Cup of Nations, and try and bleed him into that kind of way, because we know he's technically gifted, he's super intelligent, he's a bundle of energy. Yeah, he scored, but it was offside. I mean, I wish it kind of stayed in because he deserved it. I just feel like he needed that one to shut a few people up because it was getting really fucking frustrating. But just look at that. If whoever understands a Klopp system understands that Minamino did his role perfectly this morning.
It's nice to see him get himself a run again, and decent time as well, get himself a start. He scored against Arsenal, first touch off the bench, which was nice. But the other thing as well, I think it should be mentioned, is that without Van Dijk in there, without Henderson, Alisson was the captain for the for the game, at least until Henderson came on. And it's interesting because Alisson, look, we could have conceded 2 or 3 goals in that first half, if we're honest. Some near misses, a couple of things went our way, and it would have been criticisms of Alisson to say, dude, you're the captain, what's going on with the rest of this team? So just to point it out there, James, I'm not saying that Alisson's at fault for anything. Obviously, I always say the ball's got to go past 10 plays before it gets past the goalkeeper, effectively. But how do you think he fared in this game, especially considering, like I said, we got lucky that we didn't concede any goals, and he did have to sort of like, he was flat-footed, didn't have a save to make, but there was nothing really troubling him. But all the same, we could have still conceded 3 goals.
Yeah, 100%. I think he made one save the entire game, and apart from that, he didn't really have too much work to do in terms of being put under pressure by the Porto attack. I think the Porto attack sort of undone themselves a little bit in a few instances. But not only that, one of the concerns I had was maybe not having a player like Van Dijk in the back, because obviously Porto do have a lot to play for, unlike ourselves. So whilst the rotation is fantastic, we still have to be very wary of their intent coming to Anfield. But in terms of Alisson, I think it says a lot that a player like him is seen as a leader within the group, and obviously the players and the club have a lot of trust in him to be able to lead from the back as well. It's something you don't see too often is goalkeepers being made captain, but I think it does make a lot of difference because he is a very gifted football player, not just goalkeeper, but a very gifted football player in terms of what he can still give on the pitch, not just as a goalkeeper, but in terms of his distribution and what he can do to get that ball forward. Obviously, there was a bit of a shaky moment in the second half where he nearly stuffed it up, but I think it was in that moment I think George actually raised it in our group chat, where I think Matip called out Tyler Morton because he didn't actually drop into that space in the middle to give an extra option. But again, it's a clean sheet. We obviously had that questionable performance or some questionable saves against West Ham a few weeks ago before the international break. But 2 clean sheets since we've returned. We know how good Alisson is, and when he's at his best, there's no one better.
And it has to be noted as well, we said it after West Ham, we've got that shit game out of the way because we knew there was drama brewing. We could tell there was something that was going to happen. It's like, okay, let it be West Ham. It's out of the way now. Let's continue. 4-0 against Arsenal, 2-0 against Porto. We've got Southampton coming up next, which we'll discuss later on. But yeah, just on your point, 1 save to make that whole game, but Porto had 6 shots off target. So bad finishing if you're a Porto fan. Pete, I want to go to this one next. Early substitutions, because we've rarely seen early subs made, and they were made with the intent of resting, maybe with the intent of giving other players coming back from injury a couple of minutes. Obviously, Milner coming in for like 8 minutes and his cameo yellow card. Robertson coming on as well, coming back from injury. Tsimikas only playing 60 odd minutes. Do you think that there's an actual reason why they were brought off so early, or do you think Klopp just said, like, you know what, this game's pretty much done. Whatever happens, happens. I don't want to risk my players getting injured, because the Porto players were rolling around a lot as well, and they were almost Atletico Madrid-esque in that aspect. When they'd fall over and they'll just roll over non-stop. It's like, but get up, man.
I think the Thiago sub made sense, obviously, because we don't want to risk a player like that right now after just coming back from an injury. He is, as shown again, by the way, one of the best midfielders to ever do it. Like, it's just, I'm getting sick of saying it, and I'm getting sick of these, people who don't see it because they've got some weird agenda in their head. Then they create this same fantasy in their own mind, like the Joker does in DC Comics. But it's you've got to understand, this is a guy who's fucking oozes football at the highest level. So appreciate him, please, while he's with us. The other one is, the Tsimikas one was interesting. I just felt like that was Klopp couldn't wait to put Robertson on no matter what happened. So it was. I don't think.
All right, you've had enough game time. Come on, Robo, time for you to run. Let's go.
I saw Robo warming up in the 2nd minute of the match, and I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, here it comes, about the 5th minute. So I think that one is that was always going to happen. That one, he took off Salah as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
Salah and Mane as well. Yeah, Mina played a whole 90, so Salah and Mane both came.
Well, that makes sense because we want them fit for Southampton. So every sub made sense, and I couldn't believe my eyes they were made so early, to be honest. But yeah, I think great early subs. So hopefully it's something that Klopp can continue a bit more throughout games in general.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see, being proactive rather than reactive. You've always seen the case where we go behind or something's not happening and he'll just wait until something happens and then he'll do it, instead of like, okay, I'm going to make this change so then something happens. Hopefully he's learned something. Maybe the coaching staff might be giving him some assistance or whatever, but all is well in that sense there. But it was nice that we actually got some other players out there and we still were able to rest Van Dijk, Trent, Nathaniel Phillips, of course. He's been playing, with his heart out the whole season so far, and Adrian in goal on the bench as well. Come on, bro. Extended benches. Jota getting a rest. Obviously, without Firmino, Jota's the main man there, so we're going to need him. And it was a smart decision, I would have to say. But let's go on and talk about that hit, because when I didn't watch the game in the morning. When I saw the group chat message, I just saw Pete, like Thiago, and then drop the F-bomb. And I just thought, oh, here we go. He's injured. I thought that was the first thing I thought. I thought he's done. Like, he's cooked again. But no, it was an absolute gem of a hit. Stevie G-esque against Olympiacos. Obviously, nothing really riding on it, but what a hit nonetheless. Jimmy, what were you thinking as soon as you saw that drop to him? When you saw, I think it was Morton and, was it Williams and someone else going towards the ball and they left it and it just let him have a ping. What were your thoughts? What were you thinking?
I was watching it. I had my daughter next to me, and I think she absolutely shit herself when I screamed out loud at that goal. That goal defied the laws of physics in the way that it just gently dipped. I thought it was going to be a complete daisy cutter, but the way that it just dipped and then just lifted itself up beautifully. That's a goal typical of a world-class player who knows how to use a football, knows how to position himself, knows how to hit it. It was just absolutely fantastic, and it just came at the perfect time as well. We hadn't been playing fantastically. Porto at times did look like they could cause a little bit of trouble for us, and straight away as soon as we did that, we just sort of nipped it all in the bud, and that was the end of it. It was just the perfect goal for a player like Thiago. We see all these amazing things that he does, these simple touches. He gets himself away from 3 or 4 players with 1 or 2 touches. He plays he sees players from behind him. He just knows where everyone is. But then to be able to also score a goal of that magnitude, it's like you say, it's almost along those lines of that Stevie G Olympiacos volley.
Oh, it was fantastic, Pete. I'm sure you were ecstatic when you saw it, clearly based on your reactions in the chat. But when you saw it fall to him, were you thinking he was going to hit?
Yeah, because he's done it a few times for us in games, and it's never really pulled off. But he's always either been blocked last minute by somebody, or it's gone straight to the keeper. But his technique is arguably the best I've ever seen. The way you watch them videos when they're at training camps in Spain, and they're 55 meters away, and they're just volleying the ball at each other, and he's just controlling it like it's nothing. We've seen his technique, and we know he's got that in his locker, as Jimmy said earlier. But first and foremost, please don't compare Stevie G to him. But we'll pretend that never happened.
I said Stevie G-esque. I didn't say it was like Stevie G. It was that half volley, same attempt.
Don't ever talk about my manager like that again.
No, he's back.
You're
He's back.
Guest. You're a guest, mate. You're an Aston Villa fan on the Liverpool podcast. Come on, make up your mind.
No, but look, the Thiago, fuck me. I thought it hit the ground. Did anyone else think it hit the ground and bounced back up? Then you watch it again.
Yeah.
Then you watch it again, and it's got
goal. Yeah.
Oh, so it didn't hit the ground.
No, it did not bounce off the ground.
I'm still convinced he hit the ground and it skimmed.
It got so much spin on it that as it drifted down, it's just curled itself back up into the air. It's just honestly, they'll be studying that for physics exams in 50 years' time. They'll be showing the video in classes saying, how the fuck did that happen? And people won't know how to answer it.
It was Wingardium Leviosa. It was unbelievable. It was fucking... But, it's... let's safe to say I masturbated quite often to that shot.
Yeah. I've just seen it again, and it's gone between a player's legs.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's like skimmed on the grass, not off the grass, just like on the grass, passing through.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
what
just
an absolute hit.
It was unbelievable.
Absolute hit. Oh, man, that was a massive hit. And look, and after that, Mane had an offside goal in that first half. Very, very tight.
What the
again.
fuck?
It was like
there was no...
shoulder. It was like a shoulder. It was like a shoulder. It was like an Everton thing all over again.
Yeah.
Like, it was like shoulder sleeve. It's like, come on, bro, cut us some slack. But Henderson came on, and he played a ball went out to Mane, I think, from Williams, and then it was a bit of a backheel from Salah to Henderson. Henderson over the top, and Mane has done his defender, and he's put it near post past the keeper, and that's at 2-0. So Henderson comes on, gets himself an assist, and we finished the game 2-0. So all in all, not a bad night. It has to be said, though. Yeah, go on. Go.
I was going to say, Jim, because you watched the game live. What were your thoughts originally on this whole Konate thing that's happening? I don't know if you've noticed that there's been Konate bashing this morning. What was your takes on his performance overall in terms of is the criticism fair to his performance?
I thought Konate had a fine game, to be honest. I don't see that he did anything wrong. I thought that the Porto attack put a lot of pressure on us early on, and he had to deal with that. But I don't think he had a terrible game, to be honest. The way I see with Konate, that's only his. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's only his 5th game with us this season so far. And I know we were only in November, but 5 games when you've played 4 months of football already, that's playing for Liverpool in this particular squad when you're working for Jurgen Klopp, who wants his team to play in a certain style. That's not easy. But every time he's played, I don't think he's had a bad game. I thought he was fine this morning. But it's like, it goes back to what you're saying earlier, similar to the Minamino thing. People don't actually watch the game. All right, people are just looking for an excuse. Oh, Minamino's up top. He didn't score a goal. He didn't do whatever. He had a terrible game. Konate, he didn't do what Van Dijk does, and he can run at defenders. Konate had a few moments where it looked like he was beaten by defenders, I think 2 or 3 times, and he's come back across and he's blocked it, and he's stopped an attack. He's put out for a corner. He's managed to get a turnover, whatever it is. I think people aren't watching the game; they're just trying to find little things.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I thought, look, at the end of the day, when you don't play consistently every single week, it's hard to find rhythm at the best of times.
Yeah.
So, to play in a Champions League game where the fans knew, the players knew it didn't. Whatever happens, who cares? We're first and we're through. So I don't care what people say. Psychologically, that does enter the players' minds before they enter. They know that that's the case. They know they can lose and it's okay. And I think maybe you do see intensity levels drop, like we saw this morning. You will see, uncharacteristic kind of mistakes. But I honestly think the problem is not Konate himself. I actually don't like the partnership between him and Matip. I don't really like that partnership myself. I feel like they don't complement each other very well. I'm not saying it's a thing against either of them. Obviously, Van Dijk next to anybody, he works. But like when we saw Konate and Gomez together in pre-season and a couple of the other games, and one of the games that they played together for the first time, it looked good. It looked really good. So maybe that's kind of like once Gomez is back, hopefully that's our 2.0 kind of partnership. But maybe it's the partnership itself. I thought Konate was fine. I love the fact that he battered the shit out of 3 or 4 of them in a row, just bodied them completely. I love that. And he's a big unit. He's a big boy. So why not just batter the shit out of them? And good on him for doing it, by the way.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that about with Joe Gomez, because they both played alongside each other against AC Milan, I think it was, when they both started together. And they did. They looked great. I know we conceded 2 goals, but that was more because we were overrunning midfield. They did have a really good game then, but Joel Matip and Konate, they are actually, I thought this morning, they are very similar players in the way that they defend, the way they approach, the way they actually bring the ball out of defence as well, where they try those like 20, 30-yard runs and they sort of whiz their way through. So it would be interesting to sort of go back to that Konate Joe Gomez partnership. When he obviously comes back from injury, I think that would be great to see.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Younger defenders as well. I think Gomez is early mid-20s now. Konate is like same early mid-20s. So they're probably going to be the centre back pairings you're probably going to expect in like 2 or 3 years' time. You would think with Matip getting on 30 plus and Van Dijk as well. But we've seen players play throughout the old age bracket. Remember, it used to be a thing where players reached 30 and it was like, that's it, they're cooked, they're done, and you get like 2-3 years more out of them. Like Ronaldo, okay, maybe a bad example, but the guy's a genetic freak, so you do get those every now and again. But these players, I'll probably keep playing on. But the whole Konate thing is one thing there. But let's talk about another defender, and we've spoken about him a lot. Klopp doesn't love him, but he has to play him out of necessity. But the streak lives on for Tsimikas. The streak lives on for Tsimikas. He still has, not conceded a goal whilst being on the pitch for Liverpool. Is that correct, Pete?
Not conceded and only wins, not even a draw.
Yep. It's
only wins. But
one of those freaky occurrences.
Yeah, but we'll just rest him against Southampton because Robbo's back. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like it's been working.
Yeah. It's not like he's the man in form, mind you, and he hasn't been injured, and he's been playing for his national team and hasn't been burnt out or not. But look, let's be real here. He started. I think it was always going to happen. Obviously, he had the game against Arsenal, and Robertson's still not 100%. But as I said, Klopp's probably given these players minutes just to get legs working again, because he may call upon him to start against Southampton, that being Robertson. Maybe he'll start Tsimikas and bring Robbo on again 60th, 70th minute. Who the hell knows? But because we've got some big games coming up now, obviously we've got the Merseyside derby in a week's time, and then we've also got Pete's new old team Aston Villa as well, with the Gerrard return and all that in 2 weeks after that. So there are some big games to come now. So you want your squad back in full flow. I think Firmino is still one of the main ones that we're missing at the moment. Still don't know what the hell's happening with Curtis Jones with his eye problem. Maybe we could get him an eye patch or something. Pretty much it. Everyone else
Cyclops,
everyone else is pretty much there. But Tsimikas, it's a very freaky thing. It's like Van Dijk still is yet to lose a game playing at Anfield.
It's funny because if you saw his Instagram post this morning, his story, he put cheekily at the bottom corner 8 from 8.
He knows.
So if you have a look at that, I think he knows as well. Like, it's one of them ones. Obviously, they speak about it. Obviously, they know about it because they get tagged and everything that happens. So, if you look at the bottom right hand of his Instagram story, he's got like a Bruce Lee thing because it shows him kicking in the air almost somebody, and it's got 8 from 8. And there you go.
Yeah, 8 starts, 8 wins, 8 clean sheets. Tsimikas for Liverpool,
And
people said
21 goals, 0 conceded. Yeah.
and people said he wasn't good for it, but you can see he's loving life, man. Like even though he looks like he hasn't slept in centuries, man, he gives it his all, and he loves getting forward. I think Pete, you also mentioned it as well. Someone said like, "Oh, here come the Robertson crosses" or something. It's like, well, when Tsimikas fucks enough crosses like Robertson does, then we can go him on crosses.
Yeah, that was the him. Him, wait, where is he? This dickhead.
He had 2 corners in a row and he fucked them, and I was like, I'm in. No, it's funny.
There's a threshold for you to break.
Yes.
I was like, finally. No, it's actually, I was gonna say, like, I actually feel tonight was probably, or this morning actually for us, Costas probably had his not his best game for us in a Liverpool shirt, but it was still a good performance from him. That I think that says a lot about how good he is, and I think it's really starting to show now that Klopp's having a couple of question marks around who he really does pick as his left back. I feel like we're going to see this. It's almost going to be like on a weekly occurrence. We're going to see Robbo start one game, then the next week it's going to be Tsimikas, and it's just going to keep rotating almost on a weekly basis. I know the games are going to build up, and we need to obviously keep players fresh and everything like that. But I almost feel like it's not because we're trying to keep them fresh. It's because we don't know who the fuck we actually want to play. I genuinely think that's what's going to happen, because when Robbo came on, I actually thought Robbo, he just had. You sort of forget when he hasn't played a couple of games, but he's just got this huge burst of energy going forward and trying to make things happen by playing those passes and making those runs. And you think, fuck, I know Tsimikas has been doing brilliant at what he does, but then we've also got that as well. So I'm glad I'm not the one that has to pick which one starts which game, because you pick one, you've got a great result, but then you've got another fantastic player on the bench. Like I've said it before, it's a great problem to have, but man, it's such a headache.
It's a good problem to have, because we've never really had a problem of like which left back do we play in a very, very long time. I mean, since John and Risa days, but even then, like when Risa was there, who else did we have? I keep forgetting his name. Bloody hell, it was left back. Aurelio, thank you. You know, that guy could put in a ball on a platter, like serve it to you perfectly. Risa was like your powerhouse, but could still bomb in a goal every now and again with the power he had. Now we've got sort of like a bit of two players. You know, Robertson is good going forward and he'll hustle and he'll do all that sort of stuff. Tsimikas has got probably the accuracy when it comes to putting balls in, and he likes to play on the ball as well. It's almost like you see Robertson and you think proper like old English, you know, to use the just colloquially English,
Scottish.
Get in there. You know what I mean? Just get in there and just absolutely just like run through. You know what I mean? Whereas you think of like European players, there's a bit more skill, there's a bit more precision. It's that sort of thing there. But, yeah. But there's no way am I saying one's better than the other overall. But they do have their pros and cons. It's the problem trying to find where you play Tsimikas or who you play him against and who you play Robertson against. Like we've said, we're playing City, Robertson's going to play. You know what I mean? You see Arsenal, Tsimikas will play. It obviously the handle's forced there, but it'd be nice if Klopp actually looked at games that way, but we don't think he does. He'll just pick like his best 11 or the best 11 that he's got available, and we'll just say, you know, go out and play. You know, so.
Well, here's one for you then. Here's one for you. Here's a question, and here's a headache. Pick your midfield for this weekend.
Funny you say that. I had this one here, Morton in the middle, because he had a debut in the Premier League against Arsenal, came on for like 10 minutes, and now he started this game against Porto in the Champions League. It was lovely to see. Let me spell his name. It's Morton, not Morton. Let me fix that, mind you. I knew I spelled something wrong. It's like Mortin. My bad.
You got to get abuse now, by the way.
That's it, mate. Someone screenshotted that. That's it. Done.
It's because I'm a European. That's why. It's because European. Interesting.
I agree with
comment from
Rahul.
Yeah. See, it's Tsimikas right back. For Trent, whilst Williams is good as well, he's no Trent. Like, Williams will hustle, and you can see he was just determined in this game to just do everything, hustle everything. He lost the ball a couple of times, but you can't doubt the kid tried to really give it his all, so you got to give credit to him there. But the midfield, Morton started this game. Obviously, Fabinho was on the bench. She came on. You say you've got Henderson back again. You've got Milner back again. Chamberlain, Thiago. Who do you start? I don't even know. I mean, against a team like Southampton.
The players in form.
Yeah,
It's simple.
well,
Yeah.
it was the thing. Like
100%.
Tiago definitely, Fabinho
Fabinho and
definitely,
Ox.
and
Yeah.
That's literally what I was going to say. Chamberlain's had what 3 games successively now, and he's getting into the rhythm. And we've always said Chamberlain is like a confidence rhythm player. If he's in rhythm, he knows what his role is. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
If
He
he's
needs
cut in and
momentum.
out, yeah, exactly. If he's cut in and out, then you sit there and you scratch your head saying, why the hell is Ox still in this team? You know what I mean? I don't want to see him leave. I like Chamberlain. He's a good player. He's got to give him minutes. So I'd probably say that'd be my midfield for Southampton, Pete.
I'll tell you now, and I hope George is listening. He probably not, but I hammered Ox severely, purely because he was inconsistent. He couldn't stay fit. It was just very frustrating to know that you've had a player who we thought was going to light up the league for us, whether it's off the bench or whatever it was, and we could never really rely on him. Knock on wood. I hope you heard that. For the past month, he's been phenomenal. And he's been exactly what we've needed from him in years gone by. And I hope to God that this is some form of maybe a resurgence from Ox. I think that this would be excellent if this is a resurgence from Ox. I think he's been, maybe his last game wasn't the best game, but this morning he was good. And I don't see, Arsenal, who was good against Arsenal, sorry, the game before that against West Ham. But
West Ham,
the against Southampton, again, a former club of his, why not play him again? Why not play him, Thiago, Fabinho again? Because clearly the balance is nice there. It's a beautiful balance. It's got your holder, the destroyer. It's got the whatever you need a person to do with a football at his feet. And it's got the one who wants to go box to box and run in behind. So the balance is unbelievable. And defensively, it looked unreal against Arsenal. So, just for the sake of throwing Henderson in there, I wouldn't do it, captain or not. I think right now we need to start working with start fixing that little midfield situation. And at the moment, this could be it.
Well, you like to hope that Klopp would see that. And James, I want to ask you the midfield, but also in defence now as well. Van Dijk will definitely be back. Trent will be back. Tsimikas or Robertson, toss a coin there. But the centre back next to Van Dijk, that's going to be key. Is it going to be Kanate or is it going to be Matip?
I think he's going to go with Matip. I just think he has a lot of faith in that partnership. That's what he'll stick with. That's what he's going to go with. He'll play Robertson on the left hand side. I think that's why we saw such an early substitution with Costas coming off, and obviously we see Trent Alexander-Arnold coming back, and obviously massive props to Nico Williams. I'd say it's probably one of the best performances that we've seen from him. He's received such a lot of stick from Liverpool fans over the last season and a half, 2 years. And I just feel that you can see that he's really put his head down, and rather than letting it get to him, he's just went, well, what can I do to improve? What can I do to get better? Because when you've got to try and match the levels of Trent Alexander-Arnold, you got a big task ahead of you. So, it's a good point saying we need a Tsimikas type right back as well. So hopefully Nico can really push on with that. In terms of the midfield, I completely agree. You pick the players in form. What I think we see quite often is just because Henderson's captain doesn't mean that he always goes in straight away. Sometimes he's probably used in one too many opportunities, but I think we'll see this weekend that should hopefully it doesn't feel right saying hopefully your captain's on the bench, but hopefully it's the players in form that are selected. But just coming back to Ox, I completely agree with what everyone's saying. He is a player that needs the momentum to carry him on to really be able to deliver the best of his abilities. The only thing that he's maybe missing at the moment, and I'll go into my point afterwards, but the only thing he's probably missing at the moment is maybe just, being able to produce a goal or get an assist. I think he's only had 1 assist all season. Not that that's taken away from what he has been able to produce in the last month or so, because obviously when you've got players like Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Diego Jota, who can obviously turn up and score goals, and they can just work the magic together. That's probably the only thing that I would say that we just want to see come back from Ox, because there was a time when he was just getting in some absolute ripe positions and just scoring some absolutely wonderful goals, and that's what's missing at the moment. But that might also be because of the way that we're actually utilizing his skill set at the moment as well. So not a bad thing, just something that we would love to see added into his game. Maybe the opportunity comes up against his old club Southampton.
Yeah, as I said, we're playing, feeder club next, Southampton. That was the joke, wasn't it, for how many seasons? Because we always seem to get players out of Southampton. Mane, Lovren, Chamberlain before that. Lallana as well.
Ricky Lambert.
Ricky
One of the
Lambert,
best. One of the best signings we made.
Was Danny Ings from there, or
Yeah, Danny Ings.
No, Burnley.
and didn't we loan Minamino there?
No, Burnley, us, Southampton, Aston Villa.
Right.
Yeah,
And
because
then
he scored against us.
we loaned Minamino to him, didn't we?
Yeah, we
So
did.
there's a bit of love there. There is a bit of love there. Look, the defense. Yeah, fair enough. We'll say for argument's sake, Tsimikas starts because we want to see him start. Van Dijk, Matip, and Trent. Alisson obviously in goal. A midfield. Now it was interesting. Someone brought it up in the comments. I think it was Jericho. Thiago, Fabinho, and Morton. Would you give Morton another run in this midfield and put Ox on the bench? I'd be hesitant at that.
Okay, well, look, I'll answer. Sorry, I'll ask the same question in terms of what we think about Morton. I think Morton looked really comfortable, actually, in possession. I think he looked comfortable in tight moments where he was pressured. He looked relaxed. Again, the situation of the match had a massive part to play because being a young lad from the academy, I'm always going to defend you no matter what, purely because it's my bread and butter and I've got a soft spot for academy players. So, but knowing that this match had nothing in terms of, you could have lost the match and you still got your debut in the Champions League for the club, all of a sudden, now that's on your CV. Therefore, if it's not, making out for you at Liverpool, you can go to almost any club and say, look, I've got a Champions League debut at 19 years old and blah, blah, blah. So, I think knowing that he could relax entering the match, I think it helped his performance massively. That's not taking anything away from him, considering when he came on the other week, who did he come on against? Was it
Came on against Arsenal.
And again, he looked comfortable again, but again, we were 3 or 4-0 up at the time.
Yeah.
So to start in a Premier League game that we must win, considering Chelsea play Manchester United and Manchester United now new manager syndrome. Now that they want to play, anything can happen, right? I mean, the players dictate that ship at the moment, so they may turn up for this one. So, whilst there's a chance, and maybe let's say a small chance that Chelsea can drop points, we can't keep making mistakes every time another team in front of us drops points, and we we drop points as well. So, I definitely would not start Morton against Southampton, not any other reason other than we need to make sure that this game we've got everybody that's ready to kill someone.
I was going to say, with Elliot, if Elliot was still there, obviously we wouldn't probably see Tyler Morton in just yet. We'd see a whole completely rejigged midfield. But because Elliot had already played last season with the first team here and there with the under 23s and whatever, and got himself into that first team squad with Morton, because he's still young, he's still being bled into this team. He's blooded, or whatever the proper term is. Who cares? English is my second language. I don't care. Get out of here. Not an excuse, but whatever. You probably wouldn't put him in there straight away. I would be more comfortable with an experienced midfielder who knows their job, and Chamberlain at the moment is part of that. So that's my 3. But the front line as well, it speaks for itself. Mane and Salah came off nice and early. Minamino played a whole 90 minutes. Jota didn't even start. So that means that it's going to be, again, Mane, Jota, and Salah up front. And Salah's got 17 goals in 17 games this season. So even in games that he doesn't score, he makes up when he gets 2s and 3s. So it's nice to see Salah still scoring goals for us. But with Southampton looming along, what are we thinking, boys? Pete alluded to it just then. We can't afford to screw up anything in this game because we can't afford to drop any more points. And especially if United have a new manager bounce with Carrick at the wheel, and shout out to Jamie Carragher, took the piss out of it on Twitter. He said, look, he's got sign him up right now, give Carrick the job, all that sort of shit that Rio Ferdinand was saying when we was having that run in the Champions League, whatever. But what are we thinking against Southampton? It's easy-ish win. What do you think, boys?
Well, I actually only realised that we're playing at home. I actually thought we were playing away at St Mary's, but playing at home, which is great. I think I think it'll be an easy one for us. But then I just had these like post Vietnam War flashbacks of Brighton games and stuff like that. So I think it should be a routine home win for us. Southampton having an okay season. They've only got 3 wins so far, sitting bottom mid-table, 13th position. So don't think it should be too much of a problem for us. We've never really had too much of a problem when they've come up to our ground. It's usually when we go away to Southampton that we usually find ourselves struggling and having to do the extra yards to try and make up for it. I think if we play our boys in form, we'll be absolutely fine. I would love to see, it's one of those, I think it's just any Liverpool fans' dream to see the young players come through and really perform, if it was like players like Morton or Cade Gordon, things like that. But I think the reason we're seeing these kind of players right now is the hand's being forced. Simple as that. We had 4 youngsters on the bench against Arsenal, not because it's a luxury, because it's a necessity to make sure we've got enough players available. So if we can introduce those players in the last 10, 15 minutes, kind of like what we did against Arsenal, then that's a great thing. But we have to make sure that we do overcome, because at the end of the day, Southampton still have some very good players on their side. Che Adams, their striker, probably not hitting all forms in the Premier League at the moment, but looking fantastic on an international level. And then the young boy they've got on loan from Chelsea, I think it is, the young English boy. I can't even remember his name. Bear with me a moment; it will come back to me. Livramento. Been a lot of talk about him lately. So we still have to be cautious about who they bring forward as well.
Well, just to clear things up a little bit, we have scored at least over 2.5 goals in our last 9 matches in the Premier League, and we've scored at least 2 goals. There have been over 2.5 goals in the last 9 games. We've scored at least 2 goals in the last 9 games, and we're undefeated in 21 of our last 22 matches. We've won 7 out of our last 8 against Southampton in all comps. Obviously, that one came last year when we conceded early away at Southampton. I think game finished 1-0 to them. And Southampton have conceded at least 2 goals in 9 out of 11 games, and Southampton have failed to win 10 of their last 11 away matches in the Premier League. So they're coming to Anfield. Everyone's going to be boisterous. It's going to be one of those games where we expect to win. It's It's an afternoon kickoff on Saturday afternoon, so it'll be a Sunday morning, nice and chill. Jericho just put in the chat now, I guess, if we can't smash Southampton, we have big problems. We're playing at home. Shout out to El Papi, Thiago's father. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure you're proud of your son's efforts yesterday. 100% proud dad in the stands right there. But yeah, Pete, Southampton, in our previous 6 meetings, we've won, 5 out of 6 or whatever it was. So, what else is there to say?
Well, at the moment, Anfield, for these sort of teams, have been like a leakage problem. We need to
Call a plumber. Someone call.
Hopefully, we turn up like a team of plumbers this weekend and stop this leak, because, obviously the Arsenal game was absolute quality, but Arsenal, we live for those kind of games. It's these Southampton ones where we think we can kind of cruise our way into them and build up slowly into these matches, and somehow they catch us off guard. So I really hope to God, knowing that Man United played Chelsea this weekend, and like I said, anything can happen in that game, we just enter this match on fire, relentless, ruthless, and know that we have to get 3 points and 3 points only, because, as you mentioned earlier in the show, Nick, we've got some really hard games coming up. We've got, obviously we've got the derby coming up. We've got, the favourites, Villa. We've got a few. I saw that, Jim.
Can't say with a straight face. You can't say with a straight face. You can't do it.
I saw
Nate,
that.
You're killing me.
We've got, obviously the Stevie can do anything he wants. So we've got some hard games coming up, and it's just, we can't afford to drop points now, knowing that we've got, I think, 10 games in 34 days or something weird like that. It's a really weird number, and knowing that our squad is like, our squad's our squad. So we really need to make sure we get through these games.
Well, we've got Southampton this weekend, then it's Everton, followed by Wolverhampton Wanderers away, AC Milan in a dead rubber, then we're at home to Villa, home to Newcastle, away to Tottenham, home to Leicester in the EFL Cup, and then we're at home to Leeds, and then away to Leicester in the Premier League, and that'll take us through to December, where on the 2nd of January, it could be a top of the table clash between Chelsea away. Happy birthday, Pete. Hopefully they get the points for you on the 2nd. But look, we know it's football. Anything can happen. But Southampton, it should be a simple enough game. It should be pretty straightforward. And we've had 9 games at Anfield, and 4 of them have been draws. So Klopp will have said to this team, again, you can't mess this up anymore. Like, draws have been a problem for us at home in past years, which have cost us the Premier League. We cannot afford to draw any more games at home. Gentlemen, it is pushing on 45 minutes. Is there anything else we would like to address before we say au revoir and good day for the pod? Pete, I'll ask you first.
Yeah, make sure we tune into the Fab Four show. I think it's tomorrow. The boys are over there, and Courtney, of course, are doing it. I think it's tomorrow. But make sure you tune into the preview of the Southampton match. They've always got the fire. They always get heated. It always gets crazy over there. As long as I get a couple of apologies from the Thiago slander they've been throwing his way a bit earlier on. Obviously not so much from his dad, but from someone else in that group chat. But yeah, make sure you tune into their show because they always deliver.
They deliver. Mr. James Nicholson, anything from you, sir?
Nah, I hope we can keep the momentum going. It's nothing better than when you come out of an international break, the third one in the space of... Come on, Jericho, you're killing me. We come out of the international break, third one in the space of 3 months, and that's 2 games now, 6 goals, none conceded. That's the kind of momentum I want to keep going. I want to keep seeing these players stay fresh. I want to keep, to be honest, I want to keep talking about Costas, Tsimikas and Andy Robertson and who's fighting for that number 1 left back position, because then that means good things are happening. So long may that continue, and looking forward to having a really heavy match debate with my pals on Sunday or Monday.
Massive match debate. Hopefully we can have more gentlemen joining us for a match debate on Sunday evening or Monday evening. When are we doing this thing?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, our game's Saturday morning, isn't it?
Sunday morning.
Well, no, Sunday morning. So we'll do it. We'll do it Sunday night. Our time, Sunday morning for the UK, like last week. We'll do the same.
That might be a problem for us, Pete, because we're watching another football match on Sunday evening.
But George, Stephen, Nick can maybe do it.
I can't do it. Someone else probably can.
I might have to wake up at 2 a.m. because we play Palace away. So
true. You'll be watching. Yeah, critiquing Gerrard. Look at this guy. What a turncoat.
Following too many games, mate. Come on.
Absolute turncoat, man. This guy's got his hands in too many pockets. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget, if you do like what we do, subscribe to the show. We are the Red Sea Podcast. Follow us on Twitter. We've got down below, it says at Red Sea Down Under for the Aussie contingent. Myself, James, Pete, George, Steve, and also the Red Sea Pod, which is the overseas contingent featuring Thiago's father, Southern Scouser, Courtney, and the rest. That's it from us, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me for this Thursday evening match debate. Southampton in a couple of days' time. And fingers crossed we get the win. No feeder club should ever come to their client and claim that they're better than them. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Thank you very much, boys. Here comes the outro. See you all.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've